Liverpool Plains Shire Council is being recorded and a webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at www.liverpoolplains.newsouthwales.gov.au so that it is available for viewing by members of the public. Can we please stand for Councillor Lawson to recite the acknowledgement of country and the council purpose.
Today we gather on the land of the Camorro Nation. We therefore need to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who have joined us today. Council prayer. Lord, we ask that you watch over this council, guide us in our deliberations and decisions for the betterment of our Shire and Australia.
Councillor Lawson. Are there any apologies or applications for leave of absence? We've got an application to attend via audio visual link. The recommendation that Council 1 accept the application submitted by Councillor Jason Allen to attend a meeting by audio visual link. Do I have a motion, please? So, Councillor Carnes seconded. Does the leader wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against, carried unanimously. Point 1, the minutes of the council meeting held on the 30th of 2025. The recommendation 1 that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 30th of June 2025 were received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Councillor Lawson, a second, please. Councillor Sinkin. Anyone wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? No, all in favour? Against, carried unanimously, thank you. Disclosure of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest in matters under consideration at the ordinary meeting in accordance with Part 4 and Part 5 of the Code of Conduct? Councillor Kane.
Mr Mayor, I provide services to LBSC in the areas of water and waste water. In reviewing the July business paper, I do not believe that there are any decisions as a council I will be asked to make where I have a conflict. However, should any questions be asked or discussions arise in relation to the infrastructure and environmental services report 8.1, water and services, report pages 103, 104 and 105, I will declare a pecuniary of interest and will vacate the chamber while these matters are discussed. Thank you.
Councillor Kane, anyone else?
Jason.
Sorry, Jason, sorry.
Oh, good. It's to do with the Royal Theatre. I don't have the number in front of me. It's not really pecuniary or a conflict of interest. I just wanted to say that I'm the current CEO of the actual Walhalla Local Aboriginal Lands Council. So I just wanted that noted. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. 5.1, the mayoral minute for the 2025 National General Assembly of the Australian Local Government Association. Motion that Council 1 receive and note the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly 2025 communique appended at Annexure A. I would like to move this motion. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Simpson. Does anyone want to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. 5.2, the mayoral minute addressing the illegal tobacco trade in the Liverpool Plains Shire and New South Wales. I'd just like to move this report as it is written in the business paper. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lawson. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Lawson.
Just wanted to thank you, Mr Mayor, for bringing this on the agenda that we provide a submission to this inquiry. It's definitely been a concern in the community, both from local high school and also from our business chamber. The councils need more controls around these particular premises, so thank you very much for that.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? One against. Councillor Simply. Thank you very much. Five point three, Merrill Minute cost shifting onto local government. The motion of Council 1, note the findings of the local government New South Wales cost shifting report for the 2023-2024 financial year. 2, publish a copy of the LG New South Wales cost shifting report to Council's website so that our community may assess it. And 3, write to the Premier, Treasurer and Minister for Local Government seeking that they urgently address these costs for a combination of regulatory reform and appropriate funding. I would like to move this report. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Simpkin. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. More just a question. The figures are quite startling at a larger level. Just wanted to understand if we have any detail, so information as to what that cost shifting number is exactly for the Funds Council, if we have that or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Simpkin. The LG New South Wales report is quite comprehensive and detailed, and it does break it down based on rural, regional, metropolitan. Unfortunately, we don't have the cost per ratepayer for Liverpool Plains, but in preparing this report, what local government New South Wales does is invites all councils from across New South Wales, rural, regional and metropolitan, and asks for submissions and data, and this report is very much a sector-wide report, but I'm certainly keen to take that on notice and see if we can actually produce that figure. Won't make any promises, but I will certainly endeavour to do so. Thank you.
6.1. Okay. Sort of passed it. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.1 Executive Services, June 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Executive Service Report for June 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Robinson. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Callum, sorry. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.2 Resolutions Register update. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Resolutions Register as at the 16th of July 2025 is appended at Annexure A, and the Resolution Register for 2023 and 2024 is appended at Annexure B. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Seconder, please. Councillor Cowan. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. 6.3 Expressions of interest for Liverpool Plains Shire local advisory committees. The recommendation that council, one, invite nominations from interested members of the Liverpool Plain Shire community to serve on local advisory committees for the remainder of the current 2024-2029 council term. And two, receive a further report and determine the establishment of the local advisory committee at the August ordinary meeting following conclusion of the proposed expression of interest period as detailed in this report. Do I have a motion? Councillor Lawson, seconded Councillor Kane. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes.
Councillor Lawson.
A couple of quite strong local advisory committees in the previous day, so it's good to see this continue for the current term. And we're also aware that some communities prefer to have their own incorporated association, and we're also prepared to work with that. But yes, we're happy to see this go out and some local advisory committee interests that we can re-establish those going forward. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Kane.
Mr. Mayor, as a long-time server on a local advisory panel, whereas before I became a councillor, it was a very interesting experience we had, and it was a very positive group that met on a very regular basis and put a lot forward. We thought that would have been advantageous to the local area of Werris Creek. Reading under the terms of reference, which we'll put out, just a little bit of a question and a query regarding how the information or the minutes, to be more precise, and the actual going on at these LAG meetings be reported back to council. I know in previous terms, the previous mayor had promised that he would actually attend some of these LAGs, which I don't think happened, but what I'm trying to see and what I can't find in this document is that business arising from these LAGs from the areas that we're seeking are integral to what we as councillors are trying to put forward to the betterment of the council. So I'm just wondering in that document, where will the information and the going ons at these business or at these LAG meetings be brought back to council, and more importantly to the councillors as general correspondence, so we can actually see what these individual groups throughout our council and shire are actually requesting. Because I think in past tense that was never relayed. It got blocked. It didn't actually come back to be heard by us or those as councillors. So I think it's probably the key thing that has to be ratified in that document is an explanation to those community members that are thinking about putting their hand up, that what is said and discussed and the views of those groups will be directly heard by the councillors and the executive of council. So it's not a turn up and say what you'd like to see change, but it never actually gets any traction. And I think, unfortunately, in the past, that actually happened. I'm sure it happened. I was part of that in the Werris Creek group. And it got that savage in the end, and the group was disbanded for claims of bullying. And all that group was actually trying to do was get this message across. And I don't think any council actually heard what the group was trying to achieve. And I think that could be in other groups from what I'm hearing. So I fully support going forward, but I just think that's one key issue. And I'm just wondering in that document, will council consider having a council representative appointed to those LAGs, or will that put too much pressure on that particular meeting? Thanks.
It's been right hand over to GM. I think it's been, I think the last couple of years, I think the minutes have come back to council, whether how they're acting on, I'm not sure, but I'll let the GM, further.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kane, for the question. Before I answer your question, Councillor Kane, I did just want to make a correction to clause 1 of the recommendation. I just have noticed there was a typo. It should be the 2024 to 2028 council term, not 29. So we will make that correction. Councillor Kane, yeah, so in answer to your question, previously and historically when council has operated these committees, the minutes have been tabled at a council meeting. In saying that, yes, the draft terms of reference don't clearly stipulate that, and I believe it is appropriate that we update them. So under section 9 of the terms of reference, I will update those. The other thing I wanted to clarify is that this meeting, council isn't being asked to endorse these terms of reference. The reason being, we don't know how many committees we're going to be operating. So after the EOI process, once we know how many will be operating, those terms of reference will actually come back to be endorsed alongside the recommendation to appoint community members to those committees. But yeah, we certainly will make that correction. The other thing I wanted to flag is in the terms of reference, I intend to appoint a committee sponsor for each of the committees, and that will be either myself or the relevant director. Depending on how many committees we establish, if each of these localities comes back to us and says we want one, there'll be a bit of work, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it is important not only for councillors to actually see the minutes of these committees, but also for senior staff to be, I guess, investing the time and effort into attending these meetings as well. Thank you.
Thank you for doing awareness. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Lawson.
It's correct in that last time there was a period of time where the minutes weren't coming as a separate agenda item on business paper. I believe they might have been mentioned or referred to in one of the reports, but they weren't a separate item. I did actually ask at one point that they be included as a separate item on business paper, and the GM at the time did that. And so I think it was at least the last couple of years, I think, of last term, that we did have the minutes come as a separate item on business paper, so that it was at least acknowledged that councillors had seen those minutes, and there was often questions asked as to the, particularly with the Currabubula local council period, when things were up to with particular points in the business arising from those. And I think we should definitely continue that, and perhaps, like the GM said, include it in the terms of reference so it's clear that that's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lawson. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've sort of just got a couple of queries, like groups like Rotary come to me and say they would like to do a 355 committee to have more control because they are willing to get in and do something for the community. Wildendale was in the same situation as what Werris Creek was. And also, like if Blackville, Pine Ridge and all those smaller areas to the west can't get enough members of the local group to operate satisfactory, are they able to join together so that you might have 3 or 4 neighbouring villages that are actually under the one umbrella? Thank you.
And through the GM.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Robertson, for the question. In relation to the first component of that, the Section 355 committees, as I detailed in the report, there are costs and risks to that. I haven't had that request come through to me as yet, but if we do receive a request to establish a Section 355, we will certainly give it consideration and bring that to council. As I flagged throughout the report, there are different issues that we would need to consider. Section the committees established under section 355, because they are exercising powers of council legally, there are additional requirements around code of conduct, around meeting requirements, around auditing, finances, all those sorts of things. So within the sector, certainly there has been a step back from 355s, but there are councils that still operate them when they are required. So if I do receive a request for one such committee, that will be brought back to council and we will consider it on its merits. In relation to the second issue, I think that's entirely appropriate. If we don't get 5 community members from each of those localities, certainly we will be pragmatic and we will look at establishing a joint committee. The other thing I want to flag is committees are just one communication and community engagement forum. If there are villages or localities that don't have a committee, then really the onus is on us as a council, and particularly me and my senior staff, to try just as hard or double as hard to actually engage with that community. So just because they may not have a committee doesn't mean that we wouldn't be making efforts to consult and engage with them. But your recommendation is a sound one, so certainly we will consider that.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Yeah. 6.4, appointment of council delegate to the Wallavada Community Association Incorporation. I think before I read the recommendation, I just might pass it to the General Manager for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and councillors. Since this request actually came in, I understand that the association is actually having an AGM next month to elect a new executive, and I understand that the current executive is stepping down. So rather than proceed with this particular request today, I think it more appropriate that this item of business lay on the table pending the election of a new executive, and we will of course engage with them at that time to see if this request still stands. Just for the benefit of councillors, the Mayor and I have attended meetings on this association, just as we do other incorporated associations such as the Chamber of Commerce, and so we certainly won't stop doing that. But in relation to this particular request, I think it's appropriate that council lay it on the table until that executive is reformed, and then we can have that conversation. The other thing to note is by that time we will have also completed the EIY for the local community committees, and we'll be in a better position then to know if there will be a support within the Wallavada community for their own community. So instead of voting on this recommendation, the officer's recommendation would be that the item of business lay on the table. Thank you. That's what you're saying.
I have a mover of that, please. Councillor Lawson, seconder, Councillor Sankin. All in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 6.5, sponsorship request for the 2025 Quirindi Spring Show. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the request from the Quirindi Show Society Incorporated to sponsor the 2025 Quirindi Spring Show, appended at Annex A, and 2, resolve to provide $5,000 in sponsorship to the 2025 Quirindi Spring Show. Do I have a motion? Councillor Robinson, second please. Carwin, thank you. Does the mayor wish to speak to the motion?
Yes,
Councillor Robinson.
Like there's a lot of groups out there that don't get any sponsorship at all, like the rodeo or the short track, the long track, winching, out Wallavada. Like it's been sponsored for a while. Other groups put in requests and they don't even get looked at. So I just like to have a broader net for these community groups who are trying their hardest to, put this area ahead. Like it costs 80,000 a whole rodeo, but they can't even get any money taken off the usage of the facilities, and they do maintenance and all the rest of it. So that's just my opinion on this. We've got to be more open to a whole heap of groups, not just someone that's, that's been there time and time again. Thank you.
Just on that, I was part of it, but the Greendive Show is run for the community. It's run for the whole Shire. It's not a one-off event that's for those smaller clubs. The Greendive Show has always been sponsored by, in my time, by council, and I think it's a great asset that, that for the committee, it's non-for-profit, they just run it for the Greendive area. So I think that sponsorship is a no-brainer, but I'll just pass that to the general manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Robertson, for the question. What I would say is I do know several local events provided funding for our grants program. I can't speak to that particular event that you mentioned, but community groups and not-for-profits and sporting clubs are encouraged to actually seek financial support from council through that program. The rationale for this particular sponsorship, as the Mayor said, council has been a long-standing sponsor of the show, but this year, given that council hadn't allocated any funds for a sister city event, and in recognition of our 20th anniversary sister city relationship with Blacktown City, and given that the Mayor and councillors of Blacktown will be here that weekend, we thought it appropriate to, I guess, in recognition of that partnership, sponsor this event and extend the invitation to the Mayor and councillors of Blacktown to attend the show, which I'm sure they would enjoy. So I guess that's the rationale for our support, but totally hear you and understand you in relation to local events. We are commencing the review of our destination management plan, and we'll be working with the consultant on that project over the next 6 weeks to do some community engagement. I suspect through that process, the feedback will be that we need to be more active in terms of attracting and supporting events locally, and members of the community will be invited to participate in that process. And I, without foreshadowing the outcome of that consultation, expect that feedback will also come from the community. So totally recognise that there is more work to be done in this space, but I believe that the rationale for sponsoring the spring show, as detailed in the report, is set up.
Thank you, general manager. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Koenig.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a little bit torn, but I will support the motion, but I would like to say that $5,000 today, it's a significant amount of money for a sponsorship of one event in the Shire. I've read the report, I understand that the funds have been allocated. And as a councillor, I promised people that we would be accountable with what we do. The show, I can certainly understand and give support that it is a major event for the area. It certainly is something that unites small areas, and I don't have any hassles with the fact that we're actually sponsoring an event. I'd just like to make note that it is a significant amount of money. Management of council has put forward a case to say we should spend this amount of money on the event. And as I said, Mr. Mayor, I will support it, but I would like to just make the public properly aware that for some of the larger events that are held within our council area, and I sort of probably refer to the major event that's held up at Currabah, which is a massive event for an introduction to other communities to the Shire area. It's right on our doorstep to Tamworth, which is a direction I believe we should be looking to. But I just hope that other organisations, as Councillor Robinson has said, and the General Manager has said, is aware that there is funds to truly put on a substantial event within the Shire. The only other question I would ask, for this major event, does council also waive any fees regarding the showground, the pavilion, hire fees, etc., etc.? So I'm guessing also that is quite a significant donation that we do make to the Show Society as well. So I'm just not sure, I didn't read any of that in the report that council also waves in fees that gives them some other support for holding this event. So as I said, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I certainly support it. I'd just like to say that I hope we are spending the ratepayers' money wisely on an event that hopefully is a great benefit to our small shop. So thank you.
As far as I know, Michelle always checks for just that they pay the facilities. So it used to be just, as far as I can remember, that's how it used to work. We'd give them a donation, they give it back in fees for the use of the grounds. That's how it's always been in my time. Councillor Lawson.
I'm just looking at the 2025-26 fee for the Greenlight Show Society, the annual user fees, $5,855 if they will pay.
So
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it just seems yin and yang it's an unusual circumstance that we don't able to sponsor the event, but then charge them for the use of the facility. And then that sort of, anyway, if that's what's being in play, I certainly support it. And it's certainly got three lines that LPSC is a major, in this case, a gold sponsor of the event. So I wish them well. And more questions should be.
So we still sponsor them for the $5,000.
Yeah.
It's just that there's because we lose the the $5,000, they give it back in the over the $5,000. So it doesn't, we still donate the $5,000. Otherwise it'll be $5,000 in front and not square.
Yes.
So General Manager, want to comment? No, you're
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lane. The Director of Corporate has just done a research and we haven't previously waived any other fees. So in answer to your question, which was in addition to sponsorship, do we actually waive any other, hidden fees? No.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Oh, Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and this is a little bit more broadly than just the Show Society request. I'm not au fait with the requirements when our community organisations request funding and to what detail the grant applications come in or are required. There are several organisations in the community that are sitting on quite healthy balance sheets for a variety of different reasons. My question is, one, when a community organisation applies for a grant, are they required to provide some statements, some financial statements? Two, if not, would it be pertinent potentially to have a look at the policy and procedure that guides us in that grant space? Thank you.
Pass that on to the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, when applicants apply for funding through our community assistance grants, they are required to provide the information that you've just outlined. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Robinson.
Yes, like I'm not supporting the show. I've been doing stuff there for a while, like rubbish and help with the wool and everything. I am supporting. I just want to be aware of other things as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.1, Corporate and Community Services Directorate Report for June 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Corporate and Community Services Directorate Update Report for June 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Kane, seconder, please. Councillor Cameron. So the member wish to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just one question through you. Just wondering how we're going with our plans for our rebuilding of our hexagonal shade shelters at the Werris Creek facility. Thank you.
Through the general manager.
Thank you, councillor. We actually discussed this this morning at our Aquatic Centre redevelopment internal steering group meeting. The structure is currently with engineering being restored. So they're being prepared to be reinstalled ahead of the swim season.
I'm going to take my slide, but yes, then with Kuno Engineering, looking at preparing. So I chased up with them again this morning about how they progressed it.
Councillor Young? Yes?
I was just a little bit confused, Mr Mayor, because the shelters are still lying down in the same spot. The director used to tell me, explain that, yeah, they need to be cleaned out again, not down shelters tracking line, because they're still lying down in the grass, that's all. So I just haven't seen any movement, that's all. So very happy, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for councillor Carlton?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question in relation to the Aquatic Centre. The contractors doing a lot of hard work and doing a good job over there, but this unseasonal wet conditions that we're presently experiencing, I'm just wondering whether there's any risk to the completion of this project on time.
Through the general manager.
Thank you, councillor Cullen, for the question. Yes, that was also flagged this morning and it has been recognised, but the contractors will be working through the weekends to make up, and their view is that the weather doesn't affect the overall time frame, they're just completing that weekend.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 7.2 Statement of Investments for June 2025. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the statement of investments as of 30th of June 2025 as amended at Annexure A, and 2, receive and note the Imperial Markets Monthly Investment Review Report for Liverpool Plain Shire Council as of the 30th of June 2025 as amended at Annexure B. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Seconder, please. Councillor Lawson. Those who wish to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just noting the notes made in relation to this report, speaking about maybe looking at a different split of investments and the way in which to maybe improve our returns in looking at these things. I think I commend staff for going to that extent and for giving us some sort of an insight in what might be able to be achieved. And I certainly would encourage further reports along those lines for our review, and hopefully maybe council should look at approving some longer term investments at better interest rates to maybe give us a little bit better return. Thank you.
The general manager, comment?
Thank you, councillor Cullen, for the feedback. Obviously, the investment market is changing in terms of interest rates, but we will of course continue to look at how we can capitalise off of the rates to get the best interest possible for council, and more than happy to bring this level of detail back to councillors moving forward.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.1 Infrastructure and Environmental Services Director Report for June 2025. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the Infrastructure and Environmental Services Director Report for the month of June 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Robertson. Second, please. Councillor Sinkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just on the Willow Tree landfill, like in 2019, it was about 1.3 million. Now it's up to about 5.2. And getting back to a report that was done in 2010, stated that the Crindai landfill would be full in 2018, and we're still using it now. I'm just wondering about those couple of questions. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, councillor. I'll refer the question to the director.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, thank you, Councillor Robertson. So regarding the costs of the Willow Tree landfill, the initial estimate back in 2019, I'm not sure what the basis of that was, but certainly when this project started, we had an estimate of some $2.3 million. When we went to the market, we went up with a contract value of nominally $3 million and the project value is 3.6. We have had extensive issues with unsuitable material on the current project that are completely unavoidable, that have increased the cost by about $1.6 million to get to that $5.2 million for the current project cost. And that's purely as a result of material that's too soft, material that's too hard, and also a land slip on our ground into that Willow Tree landfill. Regarding the Corindai landfill, the challenge with that one is the rehabilitation of it in the future. So there was a design rehabilitation plan, as I understand, final land form that we're working towards that would have expired in 2018. We are having to redesign that final land form to cater for the fact that we've done an extra 4 or 5 years in that space now, and it's a much larger area that we're going to have to rehabilitate to cover that waste at the end of its life.
Thank you, Mr Fairley. You're right, Councillor Robinson.
I've just got a couple of other questions, just as we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. One more, Craig.
The Gap Bridge, I was made aware and sent some photos in late May, and it's only just starting to come up now about that service on the Gap Bridge. Thank you.
General Manager.
Mr Mayor, so obviously we have investigated. I did pass it to my staff in May when I first became aware of it as well, and we've had a bridge design engineer come and have a look at it to confirm that it's not a structural risk, and we're working on a solution for the short term, which will be the asphalt infill for those ground connections, and for the longer term we'll look at a concrete deck for the whole structure, which will need structural analysis to ensure that the bridge can sustain that additional weight.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for left or right? Councillor, thank you.
Thank you. Not necessarily across either the landfill or the bridge. Could you just run me through the bridge defect? What has exactly occurred, please?
With the General Manager.
Mr Mayor, so the bridge in question is an M-LOK structure, which was a common method of building bridges in the last 20 years or so. They have precast units that are about 1.2 metres wide, so you have a ground connection between all those units. There is bolts in between all the girders that is meant to prevent differential movement of those planks, but it seems they haven't really done that. So the grout has moved and popped out, and it's resulted in a bit of spalling in the void for the grout. Also, there's one spot where there's a little bit of reinforcement showing for it, and from what I understand from our history, this is the second time this has occurred in the 10 odd years of this bridge's life. So we're going to look at a more permanent solution with an in situ deck over the whole structure.
So just so I get this right, did you say the precast joints on the deck are longitudinal joints or transverse joints?
Longitude. You got both. So it's a multi-span bridge.
Sorry, but as a general principle, they're laid longitudinally.
Yes.
Yeah. The second question with regards to the Willow Tree landfill is the name about the unsuitable. Was there geotechnical testing done prior to the writings of the contractor?
Previous events, so yes, geotechnical work was done as part of the design work, so obviously it's not a design and construct contract, it's a construct only, so we had geotechnical work done to mitigate the costs of that unsuitable material. We actually did a redesign of the landfill because we were about to take out about 6,000 cubes of material. We redesigned the floor of the landfill to drop into that void, so we didn't have to refill that 6,000 cubes with select material, which saved us about $380,000 and gave us an additional 6,000 cubic metres, or about 15% additional airspace at the same time. So geotech was done, but as you would know, do it in particular places, so it's not always guaranteed you'll hit the spots that are soft. Regarding the landslip, it was assessed and considered it would be stable. It slipped before we even started works, but it was after we finalised our design. So we identified about 5,000 cubes of material that slipped into our property, and then the balance of that slip spans the boundary between us and our neighbour. So we're working with them on a resolution for that matter as well.
Thank you.
Right, Councillor Kane.
Mr Mayor, just a new item that's come up in our report regarding the slope failure of Maryville Road, which sounds pretty scary. I'm just wondering if the report is written, if a little bit more clarification. There's mentions of the Upper Hunter there. Is it actually a section of our road, and has it been caused by the upgrade works that were carried out and successfully failed, or is it something new? I'm just guessing when you're talking, again, roads or slips on a road that's going to hopefully reopen and get a massive amount of traffic. Just wondering for a little bit of a brief on what's occurred there, if you could please, Mr Mayor.
General.
Mr. Mayor, so I'll talk on our side of the hill. So the slip has occurred on our side of the hill. The nature of how council undertook its design and construction on our side was we cut into the existing hill and up. So the failure is not as a result of the heavy traffic, because the failure is on the uphill side of our road. So you've got where we've cut in, managed to cut up, that's starting to slip down the hill towards the road. So it's not as a result of the construction, it's a result of probably might have been, could have possibly been built not quite to the design, or the design might have been a bit off the mark. It's difficult to tell with geotechnical, it's more of an art than a science. So we've got a GHD going out to investigate, or they're being out to investigate, and they're coming up with a design solution for us that we're going to have to look at how we can do that and estimate what those costs may look like. It might be quite a large amount of work, because if you've got to lay slope back, you've got to have it pop out of the hill somewhere up the hill a little bit further as well. So if it's earthworks, there might be a fair point of earthworks, or it might have to be a retaining structure or soil nails or something like that to put it back in place. But it's, at this stage, it's a little bit of an unknown where that will land. We haven't got the geotech report back as yet. So we just have the on-site investigation that's been commenced, but we haven't seen the report as yet.
Thank you, Mr. Skelly. You're right. Councillor Kane.
So again, everything costs a lot of money. Will us as a council have any things to sort of maybe obtain some emergency funding or some grants to assist us in this? Because otherwise that's something we haven't certainly foreseen or budgeted in works going forward. I mean, I think it's in plan and there's not a lot of fat at the end of our plan. So do we sort of get proactive and start canvassing, or do we just wait and see how many dollars that we're going to need? Because I mean, it could be very dangerous for us if the roadworks become completed on the Upper Hunter side, and then this becomes public, and we say, hello, we have another slip line of road that's already been at millions and millions of dollars. I understand it's not our fault as such, but it's certainly not to the same stage as slip on the other side. But I'm guessing it's money that we're going to have to pull from somewhere else or do something. He says, is there a chance we can try forward and hopefully get some money from somewhere.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly that was the first question that popped into my mind about how much is it going to cost and where can the money potentially come from. At this stage, council's roads to recovery allocation was earmarked. We're not the current LTFP, the previous LTFP, we were underspending on it because they updated the final figure very late in the LTFP process. So there is money within roads to recovery that isn't allocated within our budget that we have to spend within the next 4 years. So we've got to confirm exactly what has been identified in the budget this year, but there's probably $300,000 to $400,000 within there that you could use for that purpose. That doesn't require grant application or anything like that for it. So if it can be fixed for that sort of quantum, I believe council does have access to the funds without impacting any other works that we currently have identified. If it's more than that, we'd have to look at what those options are after that.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. You're on now, Councillor Carr.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my questions always end up just a $50 figure, which is always a worry, but anyway, we can do what we can do and let's hope the report comes back as, positive notes that we can afford to get that clear.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Last time, chance. Councillor Robinson.
Is it better to go in and do a bit of work now than, 6 months down the track, especially if it stays wet? Will that actually, that is developed, will that actually increase the cost? Thank you.
The general answer.
No, once it starts slipping, the slip plane has already been set, so it won't appreciably change the cost. So there's no logical way for us to do anything without knowing what the design actually is. So there's not much we can do until we know what the final solution is. The slip plane's already set, so the volume of material that's coming downhill is kind of already set. So it's just takes a bit of migrate down, rain will tend to push it down, but the failures happened. You just don't see all the dirt down the bottom for a while. That's it. So no, it is a case of we'll do the assessment, we're going to get the design, and we do the construction of the design. There's nothing we need to respond to immediately that reduce our costs in the future.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, we're going to vote on the recommendation. All in favour? Against? Unanimous. Thank you. Delegates reports nil. Notice the motions requested for notice nil. Confidential matters. Recommendation that the council considers the confidential report listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 10A(2) of the Local Government Act of 1993. 11.1 expressions of interest, sale or lease of the Royal Theatre Corindi. This matter is considered to be confidential under section 10A(2)(c) of the Local Government Act, and the council is satisfied the discussion of this matter in an open meeting would, on balance, be contrary to the public interest as it deals with information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposal to conduct business. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simkin, second, Councillor Kane. All in favour? Against? Councillor Robinson.
I just believe it would be better to be completely transparent, so everyone knows what's going on, not to stuff behind closed doors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Thank you, Councillor Allen.